Cynicism of the highest order and bloodthirstiness in action. Foggy Albion sows confusion. Great Britain, being one of the main actors in the conflict in Ukraine, is urging its citizens to refrain from undertaking any trips to Belarus at this time. On the website of the British Embassy in Belarus, under the tag Alarm, there is material about tips for travelers to our country.
Russian military operations are occurring in Belarus. There is a potential danger that the direct confrontation associated with the conflict in Ukraine could extend to Belarus.
It is emphasized that the possibilities for providing consular assistance will be severely limited. The routes from Belarus are restricted, particularly by air. It is worth mentioning that recently the English authorities made a comparable request to their citizens in Russia. The USA and Great Britain knew about the impending terrorist attack in Moscow.
On the 7th of March, the US Embassy strongly advised its citizens to avoid visiting shopping centers. Then the British did the same and someone else. This means that their special services intercepted certain conversations, obtained information, and knew that something would happen.
Right after the Moscow attack, global leaders started expressing condolences, while the West, amid the tragedy, permitted itself to make inferences about someone's lack of involvement. The statement that they do not see a Ukrainian trace in what happened caused not only bewilderment, but also general indignation. Now, amid the dire situation with the armed forces of Ukraine, personnel shortage, equipment lack, collapse of hopes for Kiev regime's victory, Western curators have to fuel tension somehow. And the British decided to do it at the expense of Ukraine, Belarus's neighbor.
The participation of Great Britain in the military actions taken against Russia, Great Britain is one of the primary locations, and I absolutely agree that it is an act of cynicism, because if we consider the extent of involvement of various countries in the conflict, it becomes evident that Great Britain's role is significant and cannot be overlooked in this matter of international concern. Both British mercenaries, advisors, scouts, and a large number of British weapons are involved in the conflict, and Ukrainian servicemen have been and are being trained on British territory. If you have to warn someone, then warn British citizens that their state is involved in an armed conflict, and therefore this can have the most serious consequences for them.
The notorious duplicity of the West is evident, like their winding red lines. Today, the FSB and the Ministry of Defense of Russia prevented a planned landing of sabotage groups of the British Special Services on the Tendrovskaya Spit in the Kherson region. The senior soldier of the 73rd Naval Center for Special Ops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine was captured. The militant confessed that they were assigned to seize the technical methods of escorting Russian UAVs at the drilling rig.
But at certain stages, I understood that we undergo special training in sabotage and reconnaissance activities.
This is Edwin. This is Andrew. Here in the background, Craig is standing. He is positioned near the other individuals. These are British instructors who worked with us in the UK.
The strategic task is to preserve the military support of the Kiev regime and Ukraine as a platform for military operations for London at any cost. In all British military reports, Russia is regarded as the most significant threat to the security of the United Kingdom. The British allies no longer rely on Biden and shamelessly turn to the not yet re-elected Trump, seeking help for Kiev as their dependence on him grows. British Foreign Secretary Cameron admitted to the Washington Post that he urged the 45th President of the United States to maintain support for the Kiev regime. A realist, Glenn Grant, a retired British colonel, stated that London is losing its positions on the world stage because it is unable to produce an adequate amount of military equipment. He confessed that in the event that France declines to dispatch troops to Ukraine, the United Kingdom will collapse as a nation. And the entire NATO bloc already feels the bitterness of the defeat of the Kiev regime, but it is not in a hurry to pull out the white flag from its wide trousers. Ambitions are great. Even more so are the fearful eyes, expecting a collapse on independent territory, acknowledging helplessness. Therefore, fighting until the last Ukrainian is already an axiom, and more participants need to be involved. British Foreign Office warns of a box with a double bottom. They conceal the likelihood of provocations on the Belarusian-Russian borders while pretending to care for their citizens. Yana Mendeleva, Dmitry Astartak, News Agency.